My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Ontario Police Department, stalking by helicopter. And the City of Ontario is here, license 1302476. And here's the fake sun over me. And Impossible Light Activity fills the hotel room while they're coming and asking about questions about drug programs. The demons that are gang stalking know that I'm not a drug addict. The demons that are monitoring my vagina know that I don't have any alcohol abuse issues. This is the Ontario Police Department flying right over my hotel room. Significant amplification, that's terrorism, while the sound of helicopter fills your room while you're under a fake sun. Remember, the Ontario Police are over by Ontario Police Department using vehicles for criminal purposes of stalking and surveillance at 12:53 in the afternoon, where this fake sun is on the opposite side of the sidewalk. Matter of fact, let's go look at it. So you are looking again at the department that's getting disbanded, and they are demons. When you saw them flying in the sky space right now, you're looking at what was amplified audible activity, demonic, what's relevant positioning, demonic, and what is stalking, crossing a path as you're looking at a demon-possessed person do it in the physical, and you're supposed to be confused with what their the significance of their activity. And that Ontario Police at 12:50 over here at Grocery Outlet, they were gang stalked, and that's how you know it, because it is currently 9:05 a.m. right now, and as I documented, the entity keeping the fake sun over my head, and the Ontario Police, the white male with the mustache and the female that were engaged in stalking me at the grocery store under the fake sun, and the entity keeps the fake sun as I'm here at 12:53 in the afternoon, like I already captured on video. And you saw the Ontario International Airport that you were always looking at gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department and the people of the state. Okay, the fake sun that's over this side, remember at 7:16 a.m., the fake sun is over the east end of this building. And the fake sun is at the same position reflecting off of this building, this window right here at 7:16 p.m. That's the Ontario Police stalking, and doing so, remember, while the people of the state, Driftwood Village was also gang stalking, while the fake sun is over me and that entire shopping plaza, as you're going to have the federal RICO case against the people of the state. This is a housing community, and they're gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. And so is the City of Ontario. This is crossing path. While the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking with them, it's the City of Ontario sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. And this is the entity that is monitoring vaginas while they're providing housing services. And this is what the City of Ontario and Simba share in. Remember, Simba's here under the fake sun at 1:47 p.m. The City of Ontario is gang stalking with them, and City of Ontario is a published partner This is the prosecution of the City of Ontario and Paul Leon's removal from office. They are using money to engage in criminal conduct and calling it housing services with the people of the state. 8ZCV089. And this is where the City of Ontario is gang stalking. And my room is also filled with impossible light activity. And that's Kevin of the City of Ontario with, I want to be clear, I.I.S, supposed program for drug use, for drug abusers and alcohol abusers. They're criminals engaging in gang stalking. Okay, whether they call themselves meth addicts, drug addicts, and helping people, they're all demon alike. With the corrupt Ontario Police Department who just flew over my hotel room, where you know there's impossible light all up here. That's all impossible light. That's speaking to the malice of the gang stalking patrons, stalking with ongoing earthquakes while they're housekeeping, while they're walking, while they're opening and closing their doors. That's sensational activity while the Ontario Police is engaging in exactly what they did at 6 o'clock in the evening. Son, you just saw it over the same part of the building. This is where it's at 6:03, where the Ontario Police is engaged in targeting me specifically, knowing what's going on with my vagina. This is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded, and so does the entire government that's gang stalking, and the people of the state. 2315 South Euclid Avenue is gang stalking, and so is the City of Ontario while they come to my hotel room facilitating domestic terrorism and psychological torture, and their audible activity is under the form of, oh, do you have any interest in the programs that we have to offer today? And as I capture the fake sun, I go back in my room and it's an earthquake, sensational activity, and amplified audible activity while the Ontario Police are still gang stalking in helicopters, just like they are, by the way, at Starbucks where the Ontario Police committed kidnapping pursuant to criminal summoning. They're going to federal prison, and this is where they engaged in kidnapping on September 25th, 2022, and this is the evidence of what are demons working, remaining visiting, and conducting housing service provisions by the City of Ontario. Paul Leon gang stalking me and exposing what is criminal misuse of resources to facilitate terrorism. Stalking by the police, by the government. These are a bunch of demons whose hotel room has been paid for to keep me under surveillance. It's all relevant positioning. All right, this is P.O.C. and under this shaded structure, I took pictures of what you'll see impossible light stretching across my ceiling onto the wall, just like you see outside on the building. This is where the fake sun was at 11, at 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon after I returned from the grocery store yesterday, where the same Ontario Police Department was gang stalking me. They're so obsessed, they follow me and stalk me in and throughout the grocery store. That's why they were in the parking lot under the fake sun over my head. This is P.O.C. That is 9:09 a.m. The entity is maintaining this fake sun, as you know, until after 7 p.m. The fake sun is in the same exact position while I'm at a different room on the same property. This is stalking under the fake sun, which a police department is engaged in, a police department that committed multiple kidnappings, and they're going to be disbanded, and gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison. All right, it's currently 9:09 a.m. This is criminal conduct that the property is going to be prosecuted for, that the City of Ontario is facilitating, and it's exposing public corruption, but there are very specific people like the people of the state committed kidnapping who are systematically monitoring, who are engaged in what is obstruction of justice tactics, and the entity is, I want to be clear, maintaining ceaseless psychological torture, harassment, and terrorism, okay, while they're gang stalking me inside of this hotel room. This is 9:10 a.m. This is P.O.C. Watch the fake sun move as I move at the same entrance where I remain, and I'm capturing this same environment while the gang stalking housekeepers are causing earthquakes at 4 p.m. while they're engaging in what is surveillance. Okay, that's P.O.C. And just to be clear, let me show you the impossible light activity, because everybody else at this venue is also gang stalking while the City of Ontario is monitoring as they drive off of the property. Okay? That's psychological torture. You're going to prosecute for that. And this is Paul Leon's criminal conduct. He's providing monies to engage in and maintain, facilitating terrorism. This is P.O.C. All right? That's domestic terrorism. And monitoring, surveillance, stalking an American citizen as a government body and contact with the population are filled with sex offenders. And they are delighted that the government is monitoring a woman. They all get to observe and maintain knowledge, corporate knowledge about my vagina, while sex offenders are gang stalking in California. This is P.O.C. This is impossible light activity. It's demonic. And you also know that the City of Ontario, everybody on the 60 freeway, the entire business, mobile, its employees and customers are stalking, including as they stalk in the path with knowledge of what's going on with me while they fill up their gas tank. Okay, that's P.O.C. It is currently 9:11 a.m. This is supernatural. There's no light that's manifesting in the shade like that. This is demonic, and it's the hard evidence of surveillance, which the Ontario Police Department, again, the intellectually impotent, provide an easy means to prosecute them and diagnose them. P.O.C. All right, the video you just listened to included stalking by the Ontario Police, license 9GTD454, gang stalking with the Ontario Police by helicopter terrorizing me on video at 6:03 p.m., July 25th, 2025, and today at 9 a.m., which is speaking to the maintenance of a fake sun all day long, all of which the terrorists know is published on the internet, and this is exposing domestic terrorism by a government that murders American citizens and does so with a measure of lawlessness that's not different from the lawlessness that you observe from government regimes in other countries. This is third world country conduct because the United States government knows that it's been exposed for terrorism and further into murder and kidnapping, and you're watching them engage in that with that level of lawlessness because they're aware that they're being documented, and the fact that they're sex offenders, stalkers, terrorists, mental cases, engaging in psychological torture against an innocent American citizen that they're stalking, both because they're envious, because they're mentally ill, they're demon possessed, and also this is the conspiracy that the government uses against American citizens to falsely depict their character and accomplish kidnapping and to take their life. License KKB99 EE94Z99. That's the demon possessed family that's gang stalking, managing the hotel, and they're gang stalking with all the patrons. 9G NH127. Everybody staying in the hotel. The city of Ontario paid for their hotels to engage in gang stalking. 3TBG137. The demon possessed gang stalkers pay Economy Inn to stay at this hotel where they are gang stalking. Samoa Village, mobile home estates are gang stalking while the city of Ontario keeps a fake sun over me and the Ontario Police Department. And you're looking at the duration of time from the July 25th 6:03 p.m. video, and today, which is July 29th, I'm capturing the Ontario Police gang stalking by helicopter under the hallmark of the fake sun, using the hallmark of helicopter activity. And this is what the entity is doing as an ongoing population. It's public corruption. License 9PYG935. Ongoing ceaseless criminal monitoring is underway. Okay, the Ontario Police are letting you know what is going on, which is stalking. 5AMV 693, 9LFH 500, 6EUZ 999. 9SYE890, that's the family of demons. There were minor children with the Latina housekeeper. There's more than one, but I'm documenting her when I'm inside of room 234, and she's engaged in ceaseless pacing, which is creating ongoing repetitive sensational activity, and I stepped out while that non-English speaking, but also still aware of, based on the sensational conduct simultaneously occurring, simultaneously occurring, not a coincidence, under the fake sun after 3 p.m. and on video. I'm capturing this third-party 9SYE890 pacing, monitoring me at this hotel where the fake sun is still present on video, which is what I captured. Federal stalking with minor children. This third-party 9SYE890 is still present, gang stalking in custody of children, engaging in terrorism and psychological torture with the government by staying at the venue, and is keeping me under surveillance with the Ontario Police Department. License 9PYG935 is stalking in the path under the fake sun while the fake sun remains over me as I walk on the walkway and get these license plates. Stalking in the path by keeping their hazard lights on, and a demon-possessed gang stalker coming in and out of the hotel room, which is the guise of somebody present. The demons are thinking that there's an explanation that has anything to do with stalking with light. You're going to be prosecuted. And by the way, they're entering and exiting an engineered light that's all over the building while demons are manifesting. Demons are manifesting amongst sensational activity. They're manifesting amongst amplified activity. They're manifesting while they're pacing, and you're supposed to think that they're just driving. It's traffic, that they're just walking. No, it's crossing path. It's patrolling. It's pacing. DZ48B36. License plate, GW08HV, that's the same Texas plate, and the same sex offender gang stalking the white male. That's on video being documented in 2021, 6JZE097. And this is the entity that's engaging. Oh, let me get this license plate down here. Remember, it's 45 rooms. And the entity, as of July 15, 2025, keeping the fake sun and maintaining the fake sun for over 12 hours. And that's based on the criminal surveillance by the Ontario Police Department. Okay? And the entity, remember, police training at 303 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun as police training is underway. That's criminal surveillance, and it's entirely pathetic that a whole police department's activities center around me, because that's exactly what you're witnessing while a fake sun is over me, while quote-unquote police training is in a alignment to where I'm at, where the stalkers of the Ontario Police are maintaining presence in the path while I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library, where I also showed you the fake sun is remaining for over 12 hours, 19NL724. Not only does the sun not remain over one corner or one building for 12 hours, it's also not going to be looked at within a vacuum regarding what's going on at that block, on that street, in that city, in that county, in that state, where the supernatural is occurring. License 9PYG935 is stalking with the Ontario Police Department. He's a sex offender. This is what you know that. And he's also, again, an Asian male. He's wearing black glasses, engaging in criminal surveillance like the Ontario Police Department is doing with the entire immigrant population that fills the city of Ontario. And immigrants that are gang stalking, which is all of them, they're going to be deported. This is P.O.C. They're a bunch of sex offenders. All they're doing is pacing around all day and night. These are psychopaths who are focused and obsessed with me, and all they're doing is stalking. And sex offenders is not gender specific. They are all sex offenders. Some of them have children, and that's just relevant to the threat that they pose to children because they're sex offenders alike. All right, the video that you just listened to is relevant to the people of the state that are gang stalking. The entire MOBIL gas, the employees are stalking, and the establishment as gang stalking is going to be prosecuted as stalking and sharing in terrorism together. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:18 a.m. So I want to be clear what you listened to on July 15, 2025 at the Ontario Town Square, where Kevin is on podcast and they're talking about, oh, the program and, oh, we just wanted to, I'm sorry, I was interrupting you when you were on the phone. That wasn't an interruption. That was a demon that was gang stalking. He was monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, and the entity engaged in what is the provision of services to pay for a hotel room where they fully engaged in, and by doing so, still engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. And that entire documentation that's documented at the Ontario Town Square after C. Hazelwood and Owens committed an attempted kidnapping and unlawful search and seizure, assault and battery, leaving spots, bruises on my arm because C. Hazelwood was so eager to put handcuffs on me and squeeze my arm and engage in what is physical violence, while demons that are hostile to me because I systematically expose them, while they engage in this easily identifiable pattern of conduct, and then they address you on another day as though they're not stalking the entire time. That delusion is what's going to put them in federal prison where they're not getting out because they're gang stalking in furtherance of murder. They're gang stalking in order and under circumstances where they can depict you as a threat and that they can take your life and physically harm you, and also to support what is detain you in a facility where they're gang stalking at the outset. The Ontario Police is being disbanded. This is the same criminal conduct that they're engaging in at Starbucks when they're gang stalking, monitoring the evidence, and then engaged in criminal summoning. The entities engaging in this at all of the facilitating venues. Here at Economy Inn, 2301 South Euclid Avenue, September 25, 2020, kidnapping by entity with the intent to obstruct justice, all right, pursuant to federal stalking. May 29, 2025, Tracy Banks, acting as an entity, she's kidnapping me with her co-defendants, which includes the state of California, that she's summoned to her apartment, the Ontario Police Department. And she's doing so pursuant to criminal defamation, making up information about mental illness that doesn't exist, but that which she is demonstrating severe mental illness with regard to all of her clearly exposed lies, including as I exposed them on that video where she was making it up and tried to make up lies about me in my face, which is not what this demon typically does, because the entity has been secretly defaming me behind my back because of how impossible it would be to try to falsely depict me in such a manner. But the entity is doing so with the Ontario Police. That's what you're paying attention to on May 29, 2025. And where did that kidnapping happen? At the very heavily documented Woodside Senior Apartments, where the fake sun is documented for over 12 hours, and the demons that don't have any legal strategy, that are engaged in murdering American citizens with a disregard for any responsibility under the law, like they would in third world countries, while they are witnessing their exposure and an anticipated means to prosecute. The entity is still engaging. That's the significance of this video that I captured this morning, and you're understanding why would someone engage in that. It's not looked at as innocent, it's not coincidental, and it's impossible to be anything other than that. And it's also exposing everybody else that's gang stalking, like, for example, Monrovia, California, where the fake sun's remaining over me on the same day for the duration of the day in Monrovia, California, where the Monrovia Police, the Monrovia Police Department, the entity is gang stalking with the people of the state, while I'm at what is Huntington and Myrtle in Monrovia, California, where the fake sun is rising and setting over one hotel. Okay, I'm capturing it over me in the morning, early in the morning, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's setting there at that same hotel. This is the pattern of conduct in the federal RICO case to prosecute corrupt business practices, which is inherent to federal group stalking and monitoring with the government in California, and what you're looking at bigger picture in the United States. The entity is engaging in kidnapping at Woodside Senior Apartments, nonetheless, where I'm documenting the criminal pattern of conduct. The criminal pattern of conduct culminates in what is a kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice. You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison for that. And this is speaking to an evidence for everybody that's going to federal prison, engaging in kidnapping with Tracy Banks, who acts as an entity. She's kidnapping with Jason Isaac Fields, her sex partner and co-conspirator, also abusing his job in government to defame my character, support and use what is criminal acts by the Ontario Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, who are gang stalking as well as criminal surveillance, state targeting, and relying on the criminal conduct of the Ontario Police to support, create, manufacture, artificially engineer a criminal record, mental illness, that's criminal defamation, because the defamation is occurring within the criminal pattern of conduct of gang stalking, federal group stalking, and monitoring. This is not civil defamation. This is not merely pecuniary harm. This is defamation in conformity to a pattern of conduct with the intent to commit murder and kidnapping. Kidnapping is occurring by the government when they keep you against your will outside of any bounds and jurisdiction, because they're keeping you under surveillance and depicting you as a criminal and or with one suffering from mental illness, and you have to be kept against your will in a facility. That's a kidnapping by the entity. This is what the Ontario Police Department has committed serially. They're going to be disbanded, and the entity engaging in kidnapping with them, like the demons, the family of demons at Economy Inn, who are documented engaging in that pattern of conduct today, all this year, every single day. Remember, I'm not just documenting the people of the state that are gang stalking at Economy Inn, that engaged in kidnapping on September 25th, 2020. I've been documenting them gang stalking me for the entirety of the time since I started documenting. All I'm doing is going from place to place, showing you how the pattern of conduct is ceaseless and how the demon-possessed are engaging in an identical pattern of conduct, which is built into recognizing obstruction of justice. That's why Economy Inn engaged in kidnapping, for which you're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. The entities, and they're still present, as the Ontario Police prove. They are subject to federal prison without the generous provision of evidence by a bunch of imbeciles who are stalking as corrupt and outdated methods used by corrupt police officers that don't understand that their ways of targeting American citizens, it's not helping in their endeavor, meaning they're not accomplishing what they seek to do. The entity gang stalks you because it's supposed to break you down and stop you, and so that they can get you cornered. No, they're going to prison. There's no question about Mike Lorenz's leadership over an entirely corrupt department, entirely corrupt, because it's not based on just the demons that I document. It's not just going to be limited to removal from law enforcement for the demons that are stalking under the fake sun, like you saw at 12:53 p.m. yesterday, where I'm steps away from where the sun is going to just stay here 3 hours later. Oh, it's going to be over the parking lot, because everybody else is under the same environment. So everybody that's over, you see the fake sun over me on video at 9 a.m. and everybody at 507 North Euclid Avenue is under the same exact sky space. The fake sun is over them, over the top of their head, seen through the window of Euclid Avenue as you're looking south out of that window on Euclid Avenue at 507 North Euclid Avenue. No, that is not the case. The entity's in a specific environment, and the specific environment gives you specific detailed knowledge about criminal surveillance, and it's proving that the government is engaging in that criminal surveillance. And they like to use helicopters to petrify, to terrorize, traumatize, psychologically torture, threaten, harass, and criminally defame. Okay, because you're not supposed to be able to prove that a helicopter flying in the sky space over a lot of people at the same time is targeting you, and you are perfectly capable of proving that. In fact, it's documentation relevant to the diagnosis of severe mental illness, psychopathic and antisocial to be specific, regarding those that employ such demented tactics of trying to target one person maliciously. Because you want to kill them, steal from them, you want to be them, you're jealous of them, you're envious of them, all right? The entities engage in that, and that's the Ontario Police that is very much obsessed with my vagina. They know all about my vagina. They know about my cycle. They know whether I use pads and tampons. They know how frequently I am in and out of the restroom inside of this hotel. They know about my sleep patterns. They're paying attention and monitoring how many times I blink, how many times I chew my food, what it is that I'm buying at the store, how many steps it takes that I walk in the parking lot. That's how detailed the demon-possessed are monitoring. It's not just surveillance, it's surveillance of a person, which is satanic. Monitoring is monitoring your body, your heartbeats, your breathing patterns, When you're conscious and unconscious, these are demons. And I'm going to prosecute them. The demons of the Ontario Police Department are being disbanded. And it's the removal of the co-defendant, Alan D. WAPNER. Okay? And the people of the state, they're going to federal prison. You're seeing the same demons gang stalking at the hotel. The city of Ontario has been facilitating gang stalking amongst the people of the state, paying for their hotel rooms since July 15, 2025. And Paul Leon is gang stalking through the criminal misuse of government funds. And you're looking at where that money is going. It's going toward funding terrorism. They're gang stalkers that work for the city of Ontario. They're engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring under the fake sun on what is the dollar of the government that's funding domestic terrorism, engaging in a malicious iteration of domestic terrorism in the city of Ontario with the city of Ontario that relies on that criminal method of presence, light activity, and audible activity, while the demons engage in psychological torture, gang stalking using helicopters. And you're supposed to think, oh, it's no possible way that anybody would engage in that, and it's all within the imagination of an American citizen that doesn't have evidence to prove it because they work for the local government. These demons are cockroaches. They just put on t-shirts that say City of Ontario, and they drive vehicles that say City of Ontario. They're demons and they're sex offenders. And they've been monitoring my vagina all day and all night, and then they knock on my door talking about, oh, we have this program, would you like to participate? And the demon-possessed know very well that I've never been a drug addict. No, thank you. While you're monitoring, an impossible light is all over the wall behind me, threatening my life, safety, and well-being. I'm going to prosecute for that, and Paul Leon is being removed from office. These are gang-stalking mayors. This is what Monrovia is, gang-stalking mayor. This is what Los Angeles is, gang-stalking mayor. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:28 a.m. This is going right on the internet. This is what the Ontario Police Department is doing at 12:28 in the morning, flying in circles west of where I'm documenting in the Ontario International Airport that has no terminals anywhere near here. In other words, there is no flight where you're doing donuts flying over the grocery outlet in Walgreens at Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue, flying over the 60 freeway when you are arriving and departing from the Terminal 2 and Terminal 4, pursuant to what Alan D. Wapner wants you to see on the internet about published sites, about legitimate business, and it has nothing to do with any sort of legitimacy. Domestic terrorism is a matter of corruption, and you are clearly deviating from what you're publishing on the internet, meaning you want to be looked at one way, and you're engaging in what is a covert system of gang stalking. And I've also shown you how it's very clearly obvious as well. It's clearly underway, obviously underway. Very obvious. There's no donuts, there's no flight, there's no low elevation flights either flying over this area over here when you're supposed to be maintaining arrivals and departures coming from whatever destinations and headed toward any destinations, flying over 2301 South Euclid Avenue in the sky space. All right, and the entities engaging in the same obvious criminal conduct when they're flying over the Tapora Building, flying over 325 West G Street, and they're doing so like you're taking off, you're rising up in elevation at Laurel and G Street, and the airport is at 2500 Airport Drive. So that's over 4 miles. So what were you doing it takes 90 seconds to fly straight up in the air and maintain a flight. I've been on planes plenty of times before. The entity is stalking, and they're not bright. They are not bright at all. They're also not bright while they do so under a fake sun. And you can clearly see that the entity is targeting me. And you can clearly see it also at nightfall, because that same identification and knowledge coexists with gang stalking at night. And you also know that it exists because impossible light activity exists at nightfall when, by the way, the fake sun is not present. The multiple shadows you see on the wall inside of my bedroom right now during the day is the exact same impossible light activity that's present at night, where a bunch of sex offenders, all they're doing are pacing around. They just take time. These are demons that take shifts, maintaining very heavy and diligent demonic synchronicity. In other words, as I move inside of the room, a bunch of demons are engaging, just pacing around, making sure that I'm surrounded. Walls and ceilings and floors are no obstruction for this inhumane and unconstitutional means of surveillance, which exceeds what are communication devices and technology by a government that has no constitutional authority or legitimate interest at all. This is demonic. The demons know what you're doing inside of spaces, and they also use technology that aid in that high-level means of obsessive and psychopathic surveillance. And they're all sex offenders. This is what you need to know. They're sex offenders monitoring my vagina, obsessed with it. Okay? This is a Jezebel spirit, by the way, that inspires this level of maniacal stalking and obsession in furtherance of criminal objectives in concert with the people of the state. And this is why Tracy Banks and Jason Fields are going to federal prison. It's currently 9:31 a.m. That's Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields' criminal defendant. They've been relying on the criminal conduct, the targeting by the Ontario police and the people of the state for years, using it as a means to defame my character in secret court hearings, where the entity is trying to steal my property by criminal defamation, abusing the Welfare and Institutions Code to try to falsely depict one's character as being mentally ill so that you cannot have access or control your own money and property that was never even disclosed to me, while they're using gang stalking as a means to exercise fictitious authority and also abuse the Welfare and Institutions Code, where you are not establishing any mental illness, and this is necessarily going to result in changing state and federal laws, where the government is engaging in surveillance and targeting American citizens. Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are unintelligent Jezebel spirits, and that is, to put in plain terms, these are demon-possessed sex offenders who are both obsessed with my genitalia while they have sex with each other, and they're engaged in gang stalking me, and Jason Isaac Fields abused the position in government in doing so, just like the Ontario police. But he works for another level of government and did so on behalf and in concert with his sex partner. He is inherently conflicted, by the way, as you're going to prosecute a corrupt government official, while he's having ongoing illicit sex and engaged in a long-term sexual relationship with my mother. He's conflicted because it's my property, and he doesn't, in common sense, this demon, I don't even talk to him. We're not even friends. Haven't talked to him since, as friends since 2018. This demon is talking about the property that I've never disclosed to him, that I don't even know about myself. But his sexual relationship gives him this sort of insight of information about wealth and property that has been concealed from me, but he knows about it because he's in between Tracy Banks' legs, somebody as old as his mother. He's having sex essentially with his grandma. His mental illness is shown through the lengths to which he will go in order to attain riches, or so he thought. He's going to lose that job, and he's subject to federal prison. And he is a key to recognizing corruption amongst the government that targets with the people of the state for criminal motives such as theft of property. The government has a stake in my property. This is published all over the YouTube channel. And the entity that is engaging in this lawlessness, the entity is targeting my hotel room. That's why I stepped out. I'm not coincidentally capturing it. It wasn't quiet, and I wasn't disrupted in my room. Excuse me, I didn't make up being disrupted in my room. The sensational activity and amplified audible activity, extraordinarily loud helicopter, that's demonic. It's amplification, and it's a method of targeting, and it coexists with what you also know, that I'm telling the truth, is because the impossible light activity that's all over the wall outside of the building, and the bigger picture, because you're not looking at anything in a vacuum, because at this same address at 6 p.m. in the afternoon, that same police department is flying in circles, clearly targeting under that fake sun that's over the same edge of the building that it is at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning right now. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's 9 hours, and that's evidence that's remaining over against the rest of the entity. The Ontario police is being disbanded. And Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields' co-defendant are going to federal prison. So I want to document who's gang stalking. Not only Kevin of the city of Ontario coming to my door, he's documented pacing, gang stalking, coming up and down the staircase under the fake sun monitoring already. And Alicia Valley of the Upland Outpatient Recovery Center. That address is located at 934 North Mountain Avenue, Suites A and D. And apparently she's a recovering addict. She's still a criminal, gang stalking, engaging in domestic terrorism. If you think that one is better than the other, I'm going to let you know that it's not. Both are demonic. And she's engaged in criminal conduct while she's acting with a corrupt government that makes her feel better because she doesn't shoot up or whatever her choice poison was. She's still engaged in criminal conduct, and she's a threat to the public, just like she is as a drug addict. And she's here gang stalking me with the city of Ontario, stalking me with impossible light activity, and her audible activities talking about a drug recovery program. And she's still engaging in the behavior of somebody that's severely mentally ill and on drugs and suffering from addictions. She's engaged in gang stalking with the government that flew over by helicopter, and they're crossing paths in the city of Ontario vehicles, which is what you'll see on video. Okay, that's P.O.C. Don't forget, when the city of Ontario was documented in the afternoon, passing out snack baggies to the co-defendants who were staying in the hotel room on the dime of Mike. Excuse me, it's the same city of Ontario, but specifically the terrorist that's being exposed as the sex offender, Paul Leon. This is domestic terrorism. You're going to pay attention to the entity's already surrounded with evidence. So what I've documented, and then you're able to get big pictures, and this is how I show you. One of the ways you do that, big picture, what's the sunrise time at this property, 2301 South Euclid Avenue, and what's the sunset time at Economy Inn, 2301 South Euclid Avenue, at what is a facilitating venue, not a private property. In other words, where criminal surveillance is underway by the government that's acting with the government, that's acting like they're private citizens. They're not private citizens. Neither is this legitimate business practices. This is criminal surveillance, as public corruption is exposed in California. And gang stalking family members, fake friends, colleagues, co-workers. This is what the entity is doing. Speaker companies, they're gang stalking me on the job and where I live at Alvarado Gardens. This is what Carlo Lopez is doing every day. This is a sex offender monitoring my vagina, and then also working with me in the office, gang stalking and targeting, psychologically torturing me with LAPD, who routinely was flying over my head and flying in circles over me at work and over my apartment while the fake sun was rising and setting, remaining for the duration of the day, stalking with impossible light, with a bunch of welfare collecting demons at Alvarado Gardens. There's no statute of limitations. The judges, the hammer is going down on the entity. You're looking at the pattern of conduct, and there's no exception to it. That's what you're paying attention to. There's no anomaly. There's no randomness. It is exactly as I have exposed it. And there are severe consequences for domestic terrorism in the United States. Domestic terrorism is that which is un-American, and you're not welcome in this country, and gang stalking immigrants at the outset, you're going to be deported. And that's exactly what the entire population, including the immigrant population, are engaging in. It is currently 9:36 a.m. Just want to give you a macro and micro level with regard to how you're going to prosecute based on the criminal conduct, which is very obvious by corrupt police departments like the Ontario Police. All right, L&D WAPNER, gang stalking. It is 10:13 a.m. and amplified plane activity as criminal as helicopter activity, all under the fake sun, which is the L&D WAPNER and Mike LORENZ stalking me using the resources of the entire airport and the entire police department in doing so. And it is audible activity while stalkers remain in the path. And these are psychopaths that are all pacing around in like engineered light. They're all gang stalking. So I want to document that 10:13 a.m. the entities engaging in what you saw 3 hours from the video that you just listened to, where the Ontario International Airport very foolishly, as with regard to being a defendant in a federal case, proving that you're not targeting an American citizen and that you're not maniacal psychopaths who are demon possessed. That's no longer a secret condition. While they flew over my head and flew over coming from the south, that is the back portion of the hotel where you saw the sun was not already over the north end of the hotel where it necessarily would be, because I wouldn't be able to capture the sun over my head while it's over the grocery outlet parking lot like I captured on video at 12:53 p.m. yesterday. This is where the Ontario International Airport, specifically L&D WAPNER, the gang stalker that is disguised in the United States as with the position that he's being paid too much money for while he's nothing other than a terrorist. And a domestic terrorist as an airport authority, the president, that is a domestic terrorist, where the entity is maintaining commercial planes, and the entity is engaged in the same pattern of the demons of the Ontario Police: amplified plane activity, amplified helicopter activity, a stalker that's a demon flying an aircraft. This is planes. And I've also shown you that the entity does that while they are concentrating on the location at the venue where I'm at. So if I'm at the east end of the venue, that's where the plane activity is concentrated. And the entity is doing so while also engaging with very illogical, not only flying over, there's no terminals over here, but you're flying over at a low elevation to be heard inside of the hotel room. Even if you were trying to reconcile far deviation from any published arrivals and departures from the airport, the entity that is hovering over the venue is engaging in what is still targeting this. And although you know that the audible activity is demonic, the impossible light activity that you know is inside of this hotel room is the context regarding what L&D WAPNER is. He's a sex offender. He's a demon that's engaging in what is stalking me as a domestic terrorist in California and in the city of Ontario with Mike LORENZ, whose police department. Again, that's nothing other than a disguise of demons who are engaging in terrorism in California in the city of Ontario, where the fake sun is remaining over this hotel, where there is a body of evidence showing L&D WAPNER is stalking me here, and doing so as a corrupt position that he's going to be removed from. He's also a gang stalker sitting on the same, the Ontario City Council, the same corrupt, a bunch of demons sitting on a council calling themselves council members and mayor pro tem and mayor. Those are demons that like to esteem themselves higher than what they actually are, because they assign significance to positions and authority that facilitate sexual violence and criminal conduct and psychological torture. These are mentally ill people that are going to be removed as they're a threat to the public. And that's why planes are hovering necessarily, because you're going to prosecute based on the illusions that the demons present. Okay, so, but remember what's going on 3 hours from the video that I captured of Mike LORENZ stalking.
with helicopter, because 3 hours from now the fake sun is over my head, both at the property of Economy Inn and also over me at Grocery Outlet, while I'm looking at the building of Economy Inn, where we will be looking on video at the sun over that parking lot, and not what I captured yesterday, July 28, 2025 at 12:53 p.m., the exact same time. And that sun's not over that parking lot like it was when I captured it on video. It was over me, which is why it was over me at that parking lot in the past when I captured video at the same time, showing you what is stalking under a fake sun, and it's demonic. And that's what the people of the state are doing on the roads and the highways. It's surveillance. And they're all demons. Massive sexual violence is built into what the people of the state, the government, is practicing. So you need to understand that the illusion that there are laws on the books that the government uses to prosecute what are sex offenders is so that you are preconditioned in your mind to expect that you are not a sex offender because you don't have a conviction and you've never been identified or communicated as one that is a sex offender, and that is to give you a subconscious means of deceiving you. The sexual violence is built into what the government is doing in California. All right, the government is a sex offender. So is Paul Leon, so is Alan D. Wapner, and so is Mike Lorenz. They are monitoring my vagina while stalking me in the most expensive and extreme manners, which is relevant to the threat that they are to the public. Psychopaths that are stalking me using helicopters and commercial planes. And the proof of it is the fake sun that's over me as the body of evidence of everything that the Ontario Police is doing at the Economy Inn, everything that the Ontario International Airport is doing at the Economy Inn, and where I'm around the Economy Inn, like at Grocery Outlet south of this building, even at the same time as you're looking at the big picture of everything that's documented. And my documentation, enough to prosecute just in 2025, is going back as far as 2020 with regard to Economy Inn. 2018 with regard to the pattern of conduct of stalking by a government that's demon-possessed, engaging in a demonic pattern of conduct. That's Alan D. Wapner, gang stalking with commercial planes, and the demons that are gang stalking with the Ontario Police, the same city of Ontario, includes Simba, and it includes the city of Ontario that's driving around in city of Ontario vehicles, engaging in what is gang stalking, and you are supposed to be deceived. And this is the reason why I go through that is because I'm dealing with psychopaths every day, and they're smiling in my face, and I'm smiling right back while I'm documenting them. And you're going to federal prison because this is what American citizens are threatened by. And they're tortured by, they're tormented by it. And this is also what causes American citizens to lose everything that they own, lose their reputation when they have committed no wrong. They are nothing like the demons, the psychopaths that are targeting them, malicious, deceitful, lacking integrity, engage in all manner of desperate acts of wanting to take out people that have done nothing to them. That's what fills the city of Ontario, that's gang stalking. And while I am documenting it, it's going to put very dangerous people that make up an entity in prison, and that's a matter of justice. In addition to that, it's going to shut down a lot of corrupt aspects of the government that's a threat to the national security. It includes the airport. Alan D. Wapner is committed to terrorism, and so is Mike Lorenz. They're being disbanded for kidnapping, serially kidnapping. Okay, this is extreme criminal conduct. You need to be aware of the mass murders that gang stalking police departments commit while I'm exposing gang stalking to you. And this is speaking to mass murders that this corrupt society commits together as an entity. Okay, it's 10:20 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, 11:01 p.m. This is Criminal Summoning by Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. And this is the entity that is the city of Ontario that you see gang stalking under the fake sun. That's at the same west end of the hotel over me. That's showing where a population is stalking. And it's including the business of Economy Inn, where they have gang stalking immigrants, engaging in domestic terrorism with the government that sounds sirens as a means of criminal monitoring and facilitation of it. License 79850F4 and license 3FJB275. That's a Caucasian male driving a dark green Camry, gang stalking with the front desk office, white male getting in the parking lot, and the same employee that you saw gang stalk with the city of Ontario, that psychopath that's pacing, staring at his device while the Ontario International Airport flies over my room, and we're doing so repeatedly. So I stepped out to capture that stalker on video, and they are monitoring while the entity, at the same time I step out of my room, sounds sirens. That's criminal summoning in the engineer light. We're a bunch of demons who are obsessing over my vagina and obsess over everything concerning me. And because I'm prosecuting them, they're obsessing over everything that I expose about them while their obsession is not aided. So now you're witnessing obsession that's being proven while their obsession is being exposed, and they're witnessing the exposure of their own obsession with me.
Those are the demons that are sounding sirens. It's the Ontario Police, it's the Ontario Fire Department, and American Medical Response is engaged in criminal summoning as well, which I've also documented. So that's at the 60 freeway. That's at right here between Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue, where the entity is concentrating sirens. The sirens start immediately as I step outside of the room. Those are stalkers that are already there. That's lying in wait conduct. And a demon is stalking, standing at the night window. That's stalking, lying in wait conduct. Always keeping me surrounded. They're checking in and out of rooms. They're purchasing rooms to remain in while criminal monitoring is underway. That's the federal RICO case against all the gang stalkers who are surrounded with evidence as they work here and remain here. License 23103U1 on another day, gang stalking, and the employees EE94Z99, criminal summoning, KKB99, criminal summoning, 8L00566, criminal summoning, 9DTM779, 8TBG137, 6HRA878, 5WLC729, while the City of Ontario again engages in, hi, how's it going? See you later. That's the employee that's monitoring, pacing in the parking lot. He has multiple shadows. I've shown you the light activity. He's monitoring me. 5AMV693. These are the gang stalking immigrants that are subject to deportation, while Paul Leon is engaging in domestic terrorism with those that have been granted a privilege to be in this country, and it's not to engage in surveillance. And the government's criminal conduct is going to be also the basis for deporting domestic terrorists in this country. License 02034T2, who is a stalker using the vehicle as I stand in front of it, and those headlights come on. These are demons that are stalking with light. This is what they're doing while the fake sun remains over the west end over me of the hotel. They're all stalking with light. Okay, engineer light pursuant to monitoring. And those are demons that are manifesting while they then sound sirens. The entities engaged in the criminal misuse of emergency vehicles. This is including a lot of money. This is including what is the abuse of positions to facilitate criminal activity, the unprecedented violation of privacy of an American citizen that is corporately violated by a population that shares in the monitoring and surveillance of genitalia together. Also, while you're driving police vehicles, driving ambulances, and you're stalking, that's exposing the mentally ill who are in positions that pose a threat to the public. This is the entity that's engaging in what is that level of lying in wait stalking conduct, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're stalking around the corner, they're under the bridge, they're on the side of the freeway. They're pacing back and forth all day long above the sky space as well, over me, waiting for the moment to engage in activity creation, stalking everything and exposing, as I expose them, they're very much like the Ontario Police have shown you. They're engaged in what is literally, I'm documenting them stalking every single day. License 8B30640, 6EUZ999. They're all engaged in criminal summoning. 9LFH500, 9SYE890, gang stalking with minor children. License 9SPD246. 9LNS817, 7SJA758, the same Texas plate, GW08HV, that's license 6JZE097, that's the white male, gang stalking, engaging in kidnapping in 2020 as well. And the entity is engaging in all of them sharing in what is, understand terrorism is relevant to the government engaging in what is monitoring you with a population that's also psychological torture and terrorism, while the government is full of demons who are gang stalking in that manner, stalking with activity. License 9TNL724, license license plate 09174L3. All right, and it's currently, again, 11:06 p.m. And the front desk, checking in and out of the hotel rooms, this is relevant to money that is being made while the criminal elements of monitoring are simultaneously underway, while the venue where purchases pursuant to an ongoing business is coexisting with what is criminal monitoring with the government that's relying on that business to maintain the guise of gang stalking, criminal monitoring, and satanic behaviors, which are psychologically torturous, and they're also sexually violent. And the entities engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct of obstruction of justice, and it's built into the business of economy. And that are the demons arrive in the parking lot. The demons get out of their vehicles while they're sitting around stalking, waiting for an opportunity to engage in what is activity creation. And it's supposed to appear, oh, I just happen to be in my car and now I'm getting out. That's in order to maintain activity creation while they're doing so in what is not even sunlight. It's entirely demonic with regard to the activity methods employed. That's why you have a fake sun over the same west end of the building for 12 hours, okay? These are psychopaths that are doing nothing other than lying in wait, monitoring me all day long, and they do the same thing, which is what I want to make sure is always understood with regard to the racketeering, the federal RICO case against gang stalkers like Economy and both the establishment and the employees. And these are also those that are engaging in the pattern of conduct of gang stalking as those that are likely granted a privilege to be here, meaning they're immigrants. They've been granted a privilege to be here, and then under the understanding that you promise to abide by the Constitution, respect it, all right? And while you're engaging in gang stalking with the government that clearly disregards the Constitution while gang stalking with you, you're going to be deported by the very criminal conduct of the government. And this is also why Paul Leon is going to be removed from office. Gang stalking mayors that facilitate terrorism are a threat to the public. They are a wound, okay? They are a source of shame. And that's what Paul Leon represents, and he's been this for 20 years. The entity and the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department are engaged in what is a highly unintelligent, but albeit something that is very much heavily practiced. I see how their outdated tactics are that which they rely on, and this is what they're accustomed to engaging in, and the entity literally has no idea or how to assimilate to what it is that I'm exposing, meaning the more you're stalking, the more I've proven that you're stalking, and that's all you're getting by gang stalking under a fake sun as well, when it is simultaneously being posted on the World Wide Web, and there is no reasonable question about the entity that is targeting American citizen and providing what is a way for anybody to show that the government, which in California is showing criminal surveillance is real, and also how you can prove that a government is targeting you in the same manner. But the entity is very much highly unintelligent, but again, it doesn't require intelligence to engage in bullying, to engage in gang-like behavior, where the lie is just perpetuated amongst the demons, amongst the corrupt gang, and that's how they are maintaining a corrupt system. And that's, in order to prove that, you're going to expose every single thing that's happening with regard to showing what is an imbalance of the misapplication of laws and policies, and also clear targeting. That is also shown through the environment because these idiots do it in engineered light and under a fake sun that sits over me all day long. And so again, that's in the silence of demons that are showing mental illness by pacing back and forth, like the demon that you see wearing glasses under the fake sun in the afternoon, where the Ontario International Air, that's Alan D. WAPNER, is repeatedly having planes flying over my room. That's what this demon is doing now, and it's not aerobics, and it wasn't aerobics under the fake sun that sits over the west end of the hotel all day, because I'm now back on the west end of the building. When I'm on the east side of the building, that's where the fake sun is, and you all know exactly what I'm talking about, because that's why you document corrupt governments, okay, who engage in what is perpetuating a lie amongst a group that will falsely depict your character and act like nothing is happening, because you're dealing with the demon possessed, the Walking Dead, okay? It is currently, that's criminal summoning at 11:01 p.m. And the entity is engaging in what is monitoring while misusing emergency vehicles for criminal purposes to engage in psychological torture and harassment as well. And pacing is underway by the employees specifically. And that is the entity that's engaging in what is pacing in the same manner. Sex offenders that are, again, licensed EE94Z99. These are the demons that engaged in and committed kidnapping. I'm showing you engineer light right now, so I'm going to take a picture where this employee, the same male that's wearing the glasses, he's pacing, maintaining presence with the third-party patron on the second floor, the African-American male. He's seated outside on the walkway. This is stalking in the path, while a demon whose license plate that I already read is leaving his vehicle with the lights on. These are the elements of monitoring while they're acting together. And this is demonic, and it's also terrorism, while the government provides the use of sirens as a means of activity creation that coexists with the simultaneity of my walking out of my room, where a demon is stalking in the path by engaging in business with Economy, and that's the federal RICO case. Checking in and out of hotel rooms as a guise of the crossing of path, amplified audible activity, sensational activity, relevant positioning, which is stalking, committing as a government. What you'll see in the images that I'm taking now is a shadow two in front and one behind, while this employee is gang stalking and walking through headlights that are not going to create multiple shadows. License 79850F4. That's the entity that is gang stalking as patrons who are pacing. This is mental illness while demons are gang stalking me together. This is P.O.C. Mobile at 2315 is also gang stalking, and the entity is doing so while they're all obsessively monitoring everything that I'm doing. So I just got through documenting, uploading a bunch of videos on YouTube, if you're following my documentation. And
on YouTube, the entity is sitting back monitoring everything that I just published. The moment that I walk out, go downstairs to the ice machine, immediately sirens. A demon is already stalking at the checkout window, monitoring everything. So the moment that I stop publishing, I get up off my bed, I eat a bowl of salad. Every step that I'm taking inside of the room, opening and closing the refrigerator door, the microwave door, turning on the water, washing my hands, using the restroom where my vagina is exposed, legs spread open, and they are all the demons, including this sex offender who is wearing glasses, pacing like a maniacal psychopath that's obsessed with my vagina, and his obsession is proven through his pacing in the environment with the government, that is with simultaneity to my movement, change in activity, stalking with the method of audible noise and light activity. That's the sirens, criminal summoning, and his obsession is proven through that. And the absence of any coincidence. The entity is engaging what is monitoring my every move, and as I document this and step out, this is what's relevant with regard to the more that you document psychopaths who are demons, the more hovering, the more obsessive. It's like the demon hones in and leans in closer to you. If you can imagine a stalker hunching behind you, like leaning over beside you, the more that you document that, the closer that they get to you, the harder that their breath, they breathe harder and pant louder, and they start drooling all over the place. They start stalking even more heavily and more diligently. That's the mentally ill who are demon possessed, and it's a spirit of Satan. And it's also translated legally as harassment and terrorism. It's also psychologically torturous. And this is how you were witnessing this, is the demons engage in more frenzied pacing. Okay, and don't be deceived with regard to how a frenzied a frenzied method of activity is going to occur. It doesn't matter if they're driving 5 miles per hour. You will see what is ongoing incessant pacing. You will see what is, no matter how much they're documenting, no matter how damning the evidence, they will continuously engage in it. That's getting to the obsession. That is getting to that maniacal psychopath that wants to, on the outside, appear composed, but you are understanding the environment, which is showing the exact opposite. And that mental illness is clearly identified as well in order to document. This is what the employees are engaging while they're pacing in the parking lot with 3 shadows, and that's a terrorizing environment. The establishment itself sharing in what is disrupting my hotel stay, harassing me while they're closing doors right now, and there's no earthquake. Okay, while they open and close the closet doors, the entity is engaging what is shaking and my bed mattress, which is terrorizing and harassing while they're engaging in that pattern of conduct with the intent. Oh, are you the one that opens that door? You know, every time someone opens that door, somehow my bed starts shaking in the middle of the room. Do you know what that could be? Do you typically open it every night at like 11 and 12? Because that's what was happening last night. Yeah, that happened last night. You guys are opening it up really late, and it's really disruptive in my room. You don't know?
Because I was not here.
Oh, okay, I'm just stating, I told the city of Ontario about it as well, because they're paying for my room. And I don't know how, because it's a great distance, but however loud you're closing it, it's causing a tremendous disruption in my room. Could you guys be aware of that?
No, because it never happened before.
Yeah, I know, but I'm letting you know now.
Because my family used to stay in that room for a long time. It never happened.
Of course that never happened.
I should know. It never happened, that's what I'm saying.
So are you saying that it doesn't happen now?
My family stayed here for a long time, but it never happened with them also.
So are you stating that it didn't happen now while I'm telling you? Is that what you're stating? What's the point of saying that?
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, I'm stating that when you guys close that door, I don't know if you're like slamming it with or beating hammers in there, but if you could be more discreet, especially if you're going in there at 11 and 12 at night when I'm asleep, and however it causes my bed to shake, if you guys could be cautious about that, I'd really appreciate it.
Because nobody come at 11 or 12.
No, last night they were.
No, there was nobody.
Last night they were. The door was slamming.
No, nobody come here because house people left at 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well, that's relevant to know. And that will be on the cameras too, right? That will be on the cameras as well, right? That nobody? Okay. So that's speaking to what is, again, the demonic pattern of conduct of psychological torture. He's making an admission regarding nobody opening and closing the door, and I'm documenting, and you already know that this is not a matter of imagination or hallucination. Neither is the fake son, where this employee is engaged in gang stalking, and he's monitoring right now while engaging in a malicious iteration of the pattern of conduct, including while he's monitoring, going into the closet door adjacent to my room. Okay, nothing that you are ever doing is going to create that level of disruption. I don't have to make up a fake sun sitting over the west end of this building. You saw the screen recording that I captured at 6:03 p.m. Ontario police flying in a circle over my room while the fake sun is over this hotel, where this third-party employee is stating that that's never ever happened before, and it didn't happen right now. Thank you. Have a good one. But somehow, when I'm in my room, and by admission by this employee who's stating that nobody went into that closet room last night, which is the only room which is on the same wall as the bed bed that I'm laying in. And again, that has nothing to do with, it's never going to cause the bed to shake. It's not going to cause the floor to vibrate, just like it didn't right now while I'm looking at this demon monitoring me. It's not going to do it while you're inside of the room. In the same way, sunlight doesn't cause multiple shadows on the walls inside of the bedroom. Sunlight doesn't appear underneath the covered structure, manifesting in the shade. We're for the convenience of the demons that are gang stalking at this hotel, so that they're monitoring while they walk right by you, while they're monitoring while the entity is sounding sirens and they're sitting outside right around you, while they're coming in and out of their rooms, creating what is earthquakes, which are supernatural, inexplicable in the natural. That level of malice, that's going to be used to the diagnosis of the gang stalker. That's not going to be evidence, oh, well, we can't do anything about that and we can't prove that. That's not what's going on here. You're understanding the malice of the domestic terrorists who are sex offenders. And while I just got an admission right now regarding nobody accessing the closet door, the entity is engaging in what is, first of all, I am not the only person that's investigating the entity that's gang stalking me at Economy Inn, number one. Number two, the pattern of conduct is already established, and I have also established my credibility. I don't have to make up any aspects. The bigger than stalking with a closet door, creating sensational, is stalking by police departments, and that's already fully proven. Okay, beyond a reasonable doubt. So this is, again, a lesser point, but it's relevant to the people of the state that are gang stalking as well, and they are while they open and close their rooms. On the first floor, room 109 isn't going to cause my floor to vibrate. It's not going to cause the bed that I'm on to start shaking and rumbling. Them walking by, they're walking by me right now. There's no earthquake. I don't care how fat you are. I don't care how wide your ankles are. It's not going to create any sort of vibration while I'm inside of my room on the bed. It's not going to cause any tremendous rumbling of noise inside of the room. The entity is engaging in demonic means of targeting, and through the admission of the people of the state, which is what he represents as an employee, he's stating nobody's accessing the closet door, and the entity is maintaining what is audible activity and sensational activity, like I've proven all day. You saw the housekeeper today. She's cleaning in the room, and you saw her shadow. You saw the shadow of the gate on the ceiling inside of her room. That's also light activity that the people of the state act like is not there. You can act however you want. I'm going to prosecute you with it. It's impossible light activity. They're stalking with impossible audible activity, and they're stalking with impossible sensational activity, sharing in harassment and domestic terrorism. Hi. Huh? Stay inside where? Why? What noise? What? I'm talking loud? Yeah, that's why I'm outside. Where's the volume control? When should I be quiet? I'm sorry? Okay, you heard me in your office talking? Oh, really? So do you guys ever hear the closet door that's slamming? Okay, that's targeting by the employee. He's monitoring while he's stating I'm targeting loud. Is this louder? Is this a better volume? While they're walking with multiple shadows. This is license KKB 99. Him and his pregnant wife that engaged in kidnapping on September 25th, 2020, while I'm standing outside. And the people of the state are stalking and monitoring with these employees, okay? That's license KKB 99 telling me to turn my volume down. That's harassment as well. Monitoring with the patrons, 6EUZ 999, light activity, and license EE94Z99 paper. And he's stating again, we had a complaint. We're getting calls about my volume in the room, and these are the demons that are stalking with plane activity, stalking with helicopter activity, stalking with, like I just described right now, the amplified noise. And this is what the entity does when they're listening to me document, and then state to me about my noise disruption, or some sort of method of accusing me of what it is they're listening to me document. In other words, that's what this demon just did right now while he's monitoring. And he is on the first floor. He's at a distance away from me, and he's going out of his way while he's with multiple shadows, monitoring and aware of what I'm documenting, stating that I need to talk lower on my phone, which is, again, the entity that's engaging in what is targeting. They have demons in this parking lot blasting their music to monitor me. This is what they were doing on September 25th, 2020 as well. License 9HUL406 is stalking in the path with light activity with the employees that are monitoring. And the entity is engaging in this while they're listening to me document the fact that they are sharing in what is demonic pacing and sensational activity creation, and then making admissions regarding what is that pattern of conduct of nobody accessing the door, and then what is the entity that's engaging in demonic means of targeting. Okay, so that's P.O.C. I just want to make sure that I document that. These are the demons that are under the fake sun that's remaining over the property. And this is the entity. You'll see the demon getting inside of his white truck. He goes to the rooms on the adjacent side of the property, monitoring. They're pacing in and out of their rooms with regard to monitoring while they're getting in and out of their vehicles. This is the demons that are maintaining activity. And him and his pregnant wife that committed kidnapping on September 25th,
They are monitoring while they're walking, doing laps in the parking lot, while the other demon that I just documented, stating that his family stayed in the room before, which is totally irrelevant, while he's making, in other words, an admission that they did not access the closet doors, and I'm documenting earthquake conduct that's never going to cause any sort of shaking of the bed. The demon just accessed room 241, and while I'm looking at the demons, these are cowards, while you're looking at them, facing them, no earthquake, okay, nothing shattering, nothing earth shaking, but while I'm in my bed in my room where I don't need to make up any information because the prosecution of the state, including these kidnappers that are pacing on the grounds of Economy N, and by the way, this is relevant in informing the deportation policy. They are engaging what is monitoring with the patrons of the Economy and venue, and speaking to me while I'm upstairs, and I can speak on the phone at any volume that I want to, especially while they're maintaining a chaotic and harassing environment in order to monitor, including by helicopter, which I have on video to prosecute them and how they're targeting me. The entities engaging in this with regard to not only is it literally monitoring while they make those statements to me, these are demons that are using that as they're listening to me document on my phone the fact that they are maintaining sensational activity, amplified audible activity, and that they're all stalkers under a fake sun over this hotel. That's the demon that just said, I need you to turn down your... They're not the brightest. He didn't think about it, so when I ask him a question, I'm like, what are you talking about? Where's the sign about the volume level? And he's thinking about it, and he's like, oh, well, we got a call. But this is what they're always stating, that they have a mysterious call somewhere, and they're not calling anybody. The entity's engaging what is targeting and monitoring everything that I'm doing at all times. Okay, but I just want to be clear, that's relevant to targeting as well. I am not the only person, like I stated, maintaining an investigation about the entity that is engaging in the pattern of conduct. The entity's engaging in the pattern of conduct while they're monitoring the evidence. This is all evidence that's relevant to informing the deportation policy. Okay, the gang stalking people of the state that are monitoring with the natural-born American citizens are acting with the same level of impunity that's going to be attributed to the gang stalking immigrants, and they're not going to be treated differently because they were granted citizenship. The gang stalkers that are managing the venue are monitoring with the government that are, and while you're of that immigrant status, you're going to be deported. And the other gang stalkers that are natural-born citizens, perhaps they don't have to face deportation, but you will be treated the same with regard to federal prison, with regard to prosecution for as a terrorist, etc. But deportation, as I'm documenting right now, this is speaking to what is impunity that is relevant to prosecuting terrorism in the country. And this is what Mike Lorenz and Alan D. Wapner and Paul Leon, this is what they sponsor. This sort of baboon-like conduct, this Neanderthalic behavior, barbaric, animalistic conduct with regard to gang stalkers who are psychopaths stalking you in ways, and then when you ask questions about it, because it's so demonic and it's impossible, that's supposed to mean that it didn't happen. You're going to diagnose with regard to that level of malice, okay? The government is also engaging in what is stalking under a fake sun, but for the documentation, the entity is going to be prosecuted and diagnosed with regard to the mental illness inherent to stalking, targeting, and clearly doing so in an environment where you are able to prove it with hard evidence that they are indeed targeting. In that environment, that's where the third party is targeting with sensational activity and doing so, and then admitting, because that's an admission, the fact that sensational activity, which you already know, is a supernatural act. Okay, flying over in helicopter is not going to cause a vibration of the room, especially when you already flew over my room and you are miles away already. That's the entity that's creating the activity while they're trying to get away, because they know that I document. They know that. And the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct with knowledge of that P.O.C. that remains underway, okay? The management is monitoring with all of the patrons at the venue, and the entity is engaging in that. Is it, question? Is there a time limit where you want me to like not talk outside or something? I've never heard of that policy.
Time limit, people sleeping right now, so it's making loud noise, whether you can talk inside the room, it's better.
Well, what's funny is because you speak loud and I can barely hear you, so I think it's interesting when you said that you could hear me in your office. No? Do you have a phone number though? Because I don't have your number for the office. If people are calling you, because I don't have your number. There's no phone in the room. No? Okay. There's no way I can get a number, sir? No?
Maybe I will get them to talk to you because every time you talk, explain something, you go around.
When did I talk to you before?
They will explain.
Your phone number? Oh.
I don't have a phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand the policy. That's not a really intricate policy. Thank you, though. I just wanted some more context about the phone number that he's stating. There's no phone in the room, none of the rooms that I've been in, and he's stating that he got calls, which again, the people that say that are gang stalking with them, this is all relevant to just targeting as an entity engaged in real-time criminal conduct while they're keeping the evidence, keeping the person that's documenting and prosecuting them under surveillance at the same time. So this is all that this is relevant to. But this is a demon that's hostile to me, asking him questions about, oh, okay, well, what's the policy about the volume of that I should maintain while they are stalking in the path with helicopter activity and plane activity, like I documented at 3 o'clock in the morning, if you'll recall that, where the entity is targeting, and Alan D. WAPNER is maintaining plane activity. If you'll recall, the entity stalking by helicopter and flying over me, that was 12 o'clock in the morning, with that level of sensational and amplified plane activity, and the entity is talking about my level on the phone. And it's relevant what I'm talking about. I'm talking about them gang stalking, and they are gang stalking as an entire operation. Mobile gas is stalking in the path, going to the gas tank, which is in perfect alignment where demons are maintaining a meeting, and the demon that is licensed 9GTT454 stalking in the parking lot, stalking in the path. This is what you're looking at when the Latino male is sitting in the middle of the parking lot, well, standing, like I documented, and who's on the opposite side of the brick wall at the SAMOA Village Mobile Home Estates. That was the Ontario Police gang stalking. All right, and the African-American woman that's standing in the middle of the parking lot under the fake sun that you know remains from 7:15 until after 7:16 p.m. This is where the employees and the people of the state are gang stalking with the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport that are engaging in what are actual noise disruption and nothing that's within the imagination. That's why you document, while the entity will claim that they are, ignorant about the methods of monitoring. The entity that's engaging in that level of provision of evidence, like the admission, nobody accessed the door last night, that's relevant to what you already know. Sensational activity is demonic, and it doesn't require the plane to fly over for plane activity to fill my room, in other words. The entity's method of any activity creation, such as a vibration of the floor while you're walking outside, that has nothing to do with the demon that's physically walking. That's a demonic mean. This is demonic activity that I'm exposing to you that happens in plain sight. You're looking at people that are demon possessed and they engage in criminal conduct, and they do so in a manner that's supposed to be able to falsely depict the character of the person that they're targeting. I'm showing you pictures of Mobile Gas 2315 is gang stalking, and so is Economy N while its employee license 9GTD454, it's light activity, and Mobile Gas is pacing. This is why you're going to be prosecuted as an establishment regardless of your business hours, because the people of the state are on the property maintaining the elements of monitoring. That's what the images is 11:29, so you'll see them monitoring in real time. But nonetheless, what I'm stating is the entity is engaging in what is the elements of monitoring, and the pattern of conduct of monitoring is all demonic. Sensational activity, amplified audible activity, relevant positioning in an environment that's entirely demonic. They have light that's underneath the covered structure of the walls. The demons that work here are also ignorant of that as well. The demon possessed don't have to admit to anything. I'm going to prosecute them, and it's going to be on a strict liability basis. And gang stalking immigrants are going to be deported, as the demons at Economy N demonstrate worthiness of deportation. Okay, and the ongoing impunity with which they're engaged in ceaseless harassing all day under the fake sun and an engineered light, and all night with the city of Ontario, that is aiding in their criminal engagement in that pattern of conduct relevant to the federal RICO case, which is including what is harassment, while they're monitoring me and checking people in and out of the hotel rooms. It's all relevant to surveillance, and harassment is also the violation of federal law while gang stalking is underway, which is what they're doing while targeting me and telling me to lower my volume while they're monitoring evidence, okay? That's supposed to rebut the fact that they are the ones that are being disruptive and stating my conversation is disrupting people, and it's so disruptive that the people are calling. Those are the people that are stalking under the fake sun that remains over this property for 12 hours. These are the demons that are going to be deported. License KKB99, kidnapping on September 25th, 2020, currently pacing, monitoring me with impunity and malice. License EE94Z99. These are the demons that are engaging in criminal summoning with the same city of Ontario that just engaged in criminal facilitation of monitoring by crossing path while I'm at this property, monitoring every move I make, including my vagina, and doing so while I remain inside of a private space, which is a hotel room. The entity, everything that the entity is referring to when it's regarding itself, oh, I don't know, nobody can access the closet door, nobody has to access the closet door. The demons engage in, and what I always address is what the demons in the physical are relying on. It sounds as though a door is closing, but you know, and I know that, and it's also not a matter of rocket science, that closing a door, especially at the hotel, is not going to cause an earthquake. Walking up the staircase, which you heard right now, because this is what a third party is doing, and it's absolutely silent.
All right, there's no sound when you're walking up and down the stairs, and there's also no earthquake inside of my room. That's naturally going to occur. This is how the demon-possessed are engaging in silently torturing someone that is ordinarily suffering in silence while they're surrounded by an entirely terrorizing environment. And Economy Inn is making money while gang stalking a patron, because that's what I represent. And I'm also representing one that is documenting it, and so this is relevant to the intrusion in a federal case against the gang stalkers, against the immigrants who represent the people of the state as well. Okay, every syllable uttered by these demons who are monitoring is speaking to what is the ongoing impunity while they're monitoring with the government that's pacing in the sky space, while they're pacing in the parking lot with engineered light, doing so as while they're on the job making money while gang stalking, which they've been doing since, at least as my documentation shows, 2019, doing so while they're gang stalking with the patrons who are all sex offenders together, monitoring my genitalia, doing so while they are keeping the evidence of their monitoring me under surveillance, because they're all monitoring on the venue of the internet and on communication devices. Okay, this is why impossible light activity is inside of my room. This is where this nincompoop is talking about, oh, they are calling about your noise level. Look at the impossible light activity on the wall this morning while the Ontario police is gang stalking me by helicopter, and look at the fake sun that's still over the same building over me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when the housekeeper, like I'm documenting, is engaged in ongoing terrorism with the rest of these demons filling the 45 rooms where the fake sun remains for 12 hours. And then you're going to listen again to what is a demon that's engaging in what is harassment and monitoring while they're keeping the evidence of their disruption that I'm documenting under surveillance. And that's why you have this demon coming out stating, oh, your noise level is disrupting people. They're engaging in what is monitoring 24/7. Maintaining loud noise, music in the parking lot, which is creating vibrations inside of the room. That's sensational activity. It's demonic and it's impossible. It's also terrorism and psychological torture, and it's also disruptive. And while the entity is referring to what it is that I'm talking about on the phone and the noise level and the plethora of people who are clearly calling and complaining, okay, while they're monitoring an engineered light with multiple shadows that are inside of the rooms on the exterior of the building under a fake sun that nobody notices is remaining over the west end of the building, because that's where my room is, for 12 hours now. Okay, this is P.O.C. Hi, have a good night. All right, that's by admission, again, that's the family that I'm documenting that's gang stalking at the venue. So like I stated, this is the family that's engaging in monitoring through the corrupt business of Economy Inn in Ontario, California. And you will also see the entity that is monitoring. Mike LORENZ is gang stalking with Economy Inn. Mike LORENZ is gang stalking with the employees of Economy Inn. That's the federal RICO case against the employees that engaged in kidnapping with that same department. That's a federal RICO case against the state of California because they're engaged in a greater pattern of conduct. Okay, so that is, again, the body of evidence is so pervasive that you are able to understand the legal analysis and the prosecution. You can pick a venue, any venue. Use Starbucks, because they're all engaging in the pattern of conduct. What Starbucks is doing with the employees and at that venue is showing the federal RICO case against every business, for example, in the city of Ontario and what is the state of California that are engaging in surveillance together. Okay, so the employee, as you can hear, is engaging in what is pacing from the closet door. Those are the employees that are monitoring me specifically, pacing in the closet door and into room 240. As I just want to be clear, as a matter of documentation as well, the demons maintain surveillance cameras at this venue, and they also have key cards. That's just relevant to the entity that is, there are ways in which you're going to use the business practices of Economy Inn and lying demons that state, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And a lot of times, I just want to be clear, the entity that's maliciously targeting as demons, they don't have to be over your room in a plane for you to hear plane activity, and they're going to be diagnosed and put in mental asylums for that, as opposed to it being evidence that's going to create what is mental illness by criminal defamation. This is, again, the entity that's relying on outdated methods, and I've shown you all of them. The entity is going to be diagnosed and prosecuted for the malicious pattern of conduct of gang stalking, and the entity is doing so with psychopaths that are showing that same level of malice. This is Tracy Banks, that's gang stalking her own daughter, and doing so with a population. This is what Economy Inn is sharing in. This is also why they're going to be deported. Sharing in public corruption with the government, this is why they're going to be deported. And they are a threat to national security while I'm documenting gang stalkers that are likely granted a privilege to be here. And they do so with a level of impunity that the corrupt government has created. Okay? It's the government that's engaging in that. And there's no earthquake when you close the door. That's great. Okay, but when I'm in my bedroom, the bed is shaking. That's impossible activity creation, where the entity is maintaining a fake sun all day long.
The entity is engaging in the P.O.C. and the entity is engaging in what is unintelligent activity creation. They're monitoring together. They're demons together that are checking out hotel rooms and demons that are managing the hotel, okay? So I just wanted to stand out there and document that. That's an African-American female. Let me give you her license plate again. She's in room number 241. And it is, oh, you're gonna, okay, bye. License plate. 9UHL406 is the African-American female in room number 241, gang stalking with the employees, okay? Different cultures. They don't have a meeting in the morning talking about I'm going to close the door here and I'm going to walk out there and I'm going to stay here. That these are demons and the demonic synchronicity and the shared presence in the engineer light, the supernatural light, and the coexisting gang stalking by the government. You already know that Mike LORENZ, Alan D. WAPNER, Michael GERKEN, and the entity that is gang stalking the city of Ontario, Paul Leon, Alan D. WAPNER, that they're engaged in monitoring, and it's happening at Economy and where the center of the universe is proven through the fake sun that remains 12 hours, where gang stalking immigrants are going to be deported. And what the gang stalking immigrants at Economy and in the city of Ontario engage in, the state of California, all immigrants are gang stalking in California. And so I just want to be clear, the deportations that are happening, whether you like how they're being executed or not, it is a matter of justice because they're engaged in domestic terrorism in California and they don't belong here. And I'm showing you why. While you're listening to these demons monitoring, I'm documenting how they're engaged in terrorism, sexual violence, and their mental illness becomes more and more violent, more and more severe, the more that they listen to me expose them, the more furious their pacing behaviors become. All right, the more malicious, like this demon talking, oh, can you speak a little lower while you're downstairs in your office? But yet the bed is engaged in what ongoing earthquakes while the maid is pacing all day long, pushing a cart on the second floor. These are the demons that are engaging in, that's domestic terrorism and psychological torture. Gang stalking immigrants need to be deported out of this country. They're not welcome, okay? So with regard to understanding the bigger picture about what's going on in California, it's more than what perhaps you are aware of. Okay, and by the way, when you're engaged in criminal conduct as one that's been granted a privilege to be in another country, you don't have a constitutional right, it's a privilege. And whether you're aware of the privileges that they're violating, I'm letting you know that all of them, yes, I am making a grand categorization because the entire state is gang stalking, which the city of Ontario has proven, and they also like to engage in harassment like I'm documenting here, and kidnapping, obstruction of justice. And they do so with black women that are gang stalking me like the one in room 241. They do so with black folks and white folks the same. And they're demon possessed equally. And those that are not natural born citizens, they're going to be shipped out of here, and it's justice. Okay? It's currently, this is 2301 South Euclid Avenue. This is documentation of those that are engaging in the P.O.C. and engaging in it while they are making admissions that are going to be legally relevant in court, okay? I already stated that, and I've already proven in evidence that sensational activity is supernatural. It's relevant to malice and intent, and so is amplified audible activity, and so is the impossible light activity. Okay, this is how you're understanding what is targeting and how you don't have any coincidences in that environment. And then you have even more insight. And what is so appalling is the level of corruption. You're coming and talking to me about housing opportunities, and then you're looking at the impossible light that's on the wall behind you. Not only is that striking, not only is that appalling and scary, it's impossible light activity that's demonic. It is something, but for documentation, that everyone acts like it's not happening, okay? But the demons are going to be prosecuted by the illusions that they present, because those illusions are going to be proof of their mental illness. You're going to be diagnosed with it. It's not going to be reflected on to the projected onto the target individual. No, it's going to be properly applied to the sickness of those that are gang stalking. The demon that's likely an immigrant, talking about there was no, his family that stayed in this room never stated that any sort of vibration or shaking occurred in his room. And his family are full of demons that are gang stalking as well. And his family are the ones that are targeting me while they're all around stalking in the path. All together engage in sexual violence as a family, obsessing over my vagina, a black woman, while they secretly, again, have racial epithets that they think about, that they marinate on while they're gang stalking me, which is a form of worship, by the way, and referring to your family, which is absolutely irrelevant to what I just asked you, because you could quietly close the door, especially when you're maintaining a business, if you're not trying to be obviously disruptive. But this is relevant to the pattern of conduct. And moreover, I just want to be clear, them actually even accessing the door is not necessary when you are demons stalking with amplified and sensational activity and engineered light. In the same way, the fake sun has nothing to do with the light you see inside of my hotel room.
The sun is not underneath that structure. The sun is not at my front door. The sun is not sitting over the west end of this hotel for 12 hours either. So that's an admission that this demon made, and referring to his family that stayed in this room that never suffered the same environment is evidence of targeting me, because it's already been proven I'm not imagining anything. And this is the entity that's acting in conformity to that pattern of conduct. The entity that wants to present and monitor and target with these illusions, the entity is not successful whatsoever. They're going to be in straitjackets. They're going to be in asylums. They're going to be exposed as terrorists. Very much delusional. Very highly disturbed. It's not going to be projected onto the American citizens that they're gang stalking like the demons that are using this outdated system rely on. This is what they don't get, and this is why I have hundreds and hundreds of videos, thousands of the police department stalking me in helicopters. An outdated system, and I've proven that they're stalking. It's outdated. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and everything that they say I'm going to use against them. The entity is engaging in what is a system based on the use of illusions regarding the natural environment versus what the demons are actually inflicting upon people in order to not only falsely depict their character when you try to tell someone else about it, report it, but also to psychologically torture that person. And the entity is going to be prosecuted and diagnosed for their mental illness and engaging in that level of attacking human beings. And gang stalking immigrants, the easy remedy is to not only prosecute, but after they suffer the consequences, and these gang stalking immigrants are going to prison. Okay? You're talking about what is deportation. Okay, so I do want to state, I will state I'm unapologetic, okay, because it's a matter of justice and understanding what gang stalking immigrants are doing in this country, regardless of, well, I'm not advocating violence. I don't know every detail about how things are being executed. It could be executed in a lawful order. I'm not going to debate that. But what I will state is that deportation of immigrants in the state of California is absolutely lawful and it's necessary. And it's a matter of justice. And these gang stalking immigrants at Economy Inn represent what the population in the state, how they actually feel about this country, about American citizens, and about those that have the ability and the desire to enforce their constitutional rights. And since you hate this country so much, because that's what gang stalking shows, since you hate American citizens so much, which is entirely un-American, and that is also demonstrated through your gang stalking, it's also further demonstrated when you engage in more acts of retaliation. As I document you, you sit back keeping my evidence against you under surveillance with the government that provides evidence against you. This is the entity that's going to be deported, and they're not welcome here. They don't belong here, and God bless them wherever they're being shipped back to, but that's exactly what needs to happen. That's exactly what needs to happen. Okay, I'm looking at it every day. I'm documenting it every day. I'm looking at these demons acting with this lawlessness, and there is a system of abuse and a lot of confusion, and that's because of the corruption that's here. And so you have what is a breed of those that are abusing what's going on, and the system that we have, the Constitution, and the ability to be here, and some sort of delusional concept that you have a right to be here and engage in targeting another person, even making money while doing so. And just because the government, and that's why you're removing gang stalking mayors. That's why you're removing the demons at the heads of these departments that I'm exposing as monitoring my vagina. Because that is why you have those that disrespect and have no value whatsoever for what this country actually stands for. And it is antithetical to criminal surveillance and monitoring American citizens. Antithetical. This is literally a matter of uprooting the poison. It's the corrupt government and gang stalking immigrants. They gotta go. You're getting deported. And actually, I stated this years ago that this is going to be the case, and it's going to continue as a matter of justice. Anybody engaging in criminal summoning, kidnapping, you're monitoring me. You need to understand that you're going to be deported. You were granted the right to be, you were granted a privilege, not a right, to be in this country. And it's the same thing. I would be required to respect your homeland, wherever it is that you are from, and I would do that. I would never engage in this against anyone for any reason. Okay, we are not the same. But like I said, with regard to enforcing order and respect for law, which the demons in the city of Ontario do not, that's why you have sex offenders stalking me and listening to me right now, crunched down in a dark alley in an ambulance, stalking, waiting for the moment to sound a siren. They're psychopaths that are gang stalking with those that have been granted a privilege to be here. They've abused that privilege and they're not welcome in this country. And God bless Trump for shipping them out of here. Okay, it is currently 11:46 p.m. This is ongoing terrorism and harassment that I've been documenting all day long. Take a look at the documentation that I publish onto the YouTube channel because the entity that is they're gang stalking right now, they're monitoring me right now, and this is again the demon possessed that engage in passive aggressive methods of targeting you and harassing you. In other words, putting up the middle finger to me without without doing it. In other words, by pacing in the parking lot, doing so while the entity sounds sirens, slamming the doors, pacing in and out of the rooms around me, gang stalking me with the demons that are maintaining activity through their rooms, pacing in and out of the rooms, up and down the stairs, and in the parking lot. These demons that know very much about what I posted on the website, and I will double down on that and reiterate it. Gang stalking immigrants shall be deported. It is a matter of justice. That is an easy way, an easy remedy to get rid of the sex offenders and the murderers and the kidnappers that are engaging in what is targeting American citizens. Absolutely. And I would encourage other countries in the part of the world to do the same thing. Absolutely. There's nothing hypocritical about what I'm stating whatsoever. I don't care what color or language you speak. You're not welcome in this country. It's not even American to engage in this, what the American government is doing. Gang stalking immigrants are one of the easiest means to break through this corrupt population. Ship them out of here. They show a complete disregard as well. They're not even going to miss it. They don't like it here. You don't want to be here. By all means, please leave. All right. And that's exactly what they're communicating while they're gang stalking. Remember, these aren't individuals. This is an entity. The fake sun that's remaining over the West End over me at this hotel room. These are not individuals. These are demons that are pacing. It's an entity. And within that population of gang stalkers is an immigrant population. That population is represented, including through the city of Ontario. Why? Because the entire state is gang stalking. This is why you have necessarily a fake sun in Oakland, California. This is happening throughout the state. Gang stalking immigrants are being deported. Alan D. Wapner is serving to have his own co-defendants deported. The people of the state that are engaging in what is harassment, gang stalking, these black-faced demons monitoring, these white-faced demons out here monitoring, the non-English speaking demons monitoring, Asians, every single last one of them. If you're not a natural-born citizen, you're going to be deported, and it's a matter of justice. And by the way, you're not welcome in this country. Perhaps nobody else has stated that very clear and unequivocally. I will. You are not welcome in this country. It's not even American what you're doing. Now, it's a matter of tending to our own issues with regard to the natural-born citizens gang stalking, but absolutely, by all means, deportation of those that don't even appreciate the privilege to be here, and it's not a defense to say that the government was doing it with you. The government's criminal conduct will absolutely prosecute you and incriminate you. Okay, and it is a matter of what is humbling and removing this delusion that these gang stalking immigrants maintain, terrorizing and stalking and psychologically torturing like they are at Economy N, engaging in kidnapping on September 25th, 2020, coming out while you're monitoring me and targeting while you know the substance of my documentation, and so you're talking about I need to lower my speaking voice while I'm outside. And these demons, you know that they're stalking with helicopter, plane activity, amplified traffic from the 60 freeway, which is impossible to hear, maintaining earthquakes while you're pushing a housekeeping cart outside these are the demons that are engaging in that. They're not welcome in this country. Gang stalking immigrants are not welcome in the United States of America. None of them. You're not welcome. And you are being deported because this is exactly what you were warned about years ago. And you're going to continue to be deported. It is currently 11:50 p.m. It's Tuesday, July 29, 2025 at Economy Inn, where the entity is gang stalking. These are sex offenders worshiping an American citizen that they're terrorizing and harassing, and they are incriminating themselves every word that they state to me. They're already surrounded with a body of evidence. And they're referring to the city of Ontario. Oh, I have the city of Ontario that I documented gang stalking me in the city of Ontario vehicle with the Ontario police. The city of Ontario is all over the YouTube channel, all over the website. The city of Ontario is incriminating. That's how heavily documented the city of Ontario is. Okay, there is no redeeming quality with regard to this entity that is literally in a chokehold with the evidence that I have. And the fact that you're still monitoring, the fact that you are all day, the fact that you are all night, the fact that you are while you have the audacity to make money, while you're targeting American citizens, that has to be immediately addressed. And one of the most intense ways, the most effective manners of doing it is deporting them. Deport them. And that's how you shatter the illusion that you have a right to be in this country and target American citizens. This is how you are shattering what is an unhealthy illusion that the corrupt government has created. Okay, that they are capable of being here. And I'm not stating that it is only immigrant populations, but I'm stating, and it is shown a large percentage of the immigrant population is sucking up the welfare state, consuming all of these resources, and they're here gang stalking in California. They're gang stalking while they're sucking up the resources. You can leave. You can leave, and it would do wonders for the economy. Removing these corrupt leaders like Paul Leon, criminally misusing funds in order to gang stalk me. That's what the housing division is engaging in. There's money that's put toward expenditures that are used, as I'm showing you, public corruption, the police department, the use of planes and helicopters, the use of gassing up the vehicles that are stalking me all day and night, sounding sirens. The entity that's affecting the city while you're doing that, they're affecting the traffic lights. It's creating what is ongoing activity creation with the environment where they're maintaining that means of a so-called emergency. It costs a lot of money and resources for them to maintain this criminal system. There's so much resources, so much money that will be found upon removing these infections that are the demons that are gang stalking. And yes, deportation is a key aspect to it. Okay? The entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct, this is why I document how I do, because you need to witness those that deserve the punishment, that deserve the prosecution, that deserve the response that the federal government is going to provide. They deserve it. Absolutely. I've been subject to it. I've sat back and watched it. I studied it. I analyzed it. I gave opportunities to show me something different. Where is there an exception? Where is there something different? And it is not across the board. They deserve exactly what's going to happen, okay? It is currently 11:53 p.m. This is Economy Inn. Monitoring a woman in a hotel room is a sex offense, and it's committed by a public entity. And the entity relies on an immigrant population that is equally gang stalked with natural-born citizens. This black female next door is gang stalking me, and she's engaged in homosexual violence. Sexual violence of a homosexual nature. She's obsessed with my vagina, gang stalking me. And then engaging in what is opening and closing the door while I'm referring to the fact that that doesn't create earthquakes. These are demons that are engaging in sharing the same exact condition. You need to understand that Satan is a spirit, and these spirits are residing within all races. All races. It is absolutely irrelevant, the physical identity of the demons that are gang stalking. These are all of the material, surface, external things that a corrupt government is relying on because of the position that because of how many kids they have, because of how many Bible studies that they run, because of how long they've been in office, or because of how much money they've donated, or because of how good they've been to the community. Oh, they could never be engaged. That's preposterous. It's malarkey. It's a lie out of the pit of hell. And the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct is engaging in that which is worthy of deportation, okay? The entity's engaging in this, and they're doing it with impunity, and I make sure that I document that because it needs to be known that there was no facet that was missed. There was no detail that was overlooked, and there was no change in that pattern of conduct, okay? It's currently 11:54, and I just want to document the demon that you will see. He is shown as a sex offender, so you can look at my website on the documentation highlights for today, July 29, 2025. Everybody go take a good gander. Inform yourself about a violent sex offender that is free currently in the city of Ontario. He is a dark-skinned, perhaps Middle Eastern male with facial hair. He wears black glasses. He's approximately 5'7", 5'8". He does have a foreign accent. He's the one that is gang stalking me. He's also a violent sex offender that is obsessing over my vagina, which is a sexually violent threat posed to me. He also threatens my life and safety and well-being on a regular basis. And that it is that which is shared and facilitated by the corrupt government that is gang stalking me again in another venue, which is Economy Inn, which I've documented before. This sex offender's image is clearly shown on the website, where you will see his image and the sexual violence that he is engaging in on a 24-hour basis as an entity. All right. The entity is, and this is again not an individual under the facts of federal group stalking and monitoring. This is a documentation of one of the third parties that are acting as an entity, sharing in sexual violence, sharing an obsession with my genitalia, monitoring me in the bathroom, monitoring me in the hotel room, monitoring both while I'm asleep and while I'm awake, while they are obsessing. And this sex offender's image is clear for you to see because it's public knowledge and it's public information that you need to be aware of. Okay, and he is doing so while I'm standing in front of the, if you've seen my hotel room, so the sink area, the bathroom area is at a distance on the opposite side of the floor. So again, the entity is targeting, even while these are psychopaths that are, again, the mental illness of demon possession is that which the mind is so demented. There is not the self-control button, if you will. So the demons are more concerned with an illusion. Oh, I'm going to get you back by targeting in other words, what am I getting to? The floor underneath me is vibrating. So the demon in room 109, which is underneath me, stalking in the path, monitoring my vagina with the third party whose image you'll see on my YouTube, you'll see him on the YouTube channel, actually posted as well, but you will see him specifically on the P.O.C website at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com, where I routinely, for the benefit of the public, I expose sex offenders so you can clearly see them, identify their license plates, where it is that they're engaging in violence and terrorism with the government. And you will see him, he is engaged in what is targeting while I'm standing at the sink in the depths of the hotel room. And this is where, again, sensational activity, as though someone is, for example, hitting underneath the floor. That's how you would describe it with regard to naturally occurring. But this is demonic, because there's nothing that you're doing outside of the room, and there's nothing that you're doing in the hotel room unless you brought a broom with you, unless you're pushing the chair, holding a chair, and clearly targeting me by beating on the ceiling. But what are the demons going to do? Just like you heard, this sex offender whose image you can clearly see. This is a sex offender that's monitoring me while I'm physically indisposed, monitoring me while I'm in this private space, including specifically disrobed in the restroom, monitoring my genitalia, specifically the moment when my legs are spread apart, when I am engaged in that sort of personal private activity, which I'm only detailing in order to let you in on his sexual violence, not my forte with regard to engaging in that. This is somebody that is interested in my genitalia and keeping my genitalia under surveillance, and that's why I am informing you, the public, so that you can see this sex offender's image and where he is located. And if he is not a natural born citizen, such sex offenders and the like, a part of this entity, are going to be deported, okay? You will see him, and he is monitoring me while I'm standing in front of the sink right now at what is 11:58 a.m., approximately 11:55 p.m. is where underneath my feet where I stand, I'm being targeted while I'm feeling what is vibration through the floor, which is impossible, sensational activity. Okay, this is a method of targeting and harassing you where the demons, they both hate you, but they're also obsessed with you. That's why you're gang stalking me, by the way, which I am proving. I've already proven it. Moreover, and this is what you need to know, and this is what you need to be empowered by, because psychological torture should no longer, when you are aware of it, be something that is able to break you down. Okay, a lot of times Satan is only powerful because of your ignorance. All right, so you're not ignorant anymore about this that is going on. You're not ignorant about spiritual warfare and attacking your mind instead of speaking curses over yourself. No, you're not mentally ill. That is a matter of what is psychological torture, which is spiritual demons who are engaged in gang stalking, monitoring you. And they're also obsessed with your genitalia. You need to understand they're obsessed with the genitalia of children. So they're not only monitoring you, they're monitoring your underage children who also are not consenting to surveillance of them in the bathroom when they're nude, when you're giving them baths, when they're in the bathroom and they're under surveillance. This is what the government is engaging in. This is what the people of the state, like this Middle Eastern man wearing glasses with dark skin and facial hair, monitoring me today and monitoring right now, and referring to his family who are admitted gang stalkers while they are not subject to sensational activity because they're demons that are gang stalking me. It's never going to happen. It's not naturally occurring. Neither is the sun sitting over me at this hotel for 12 hours, and I've also proven that. Okay, this sex offender's image you will see on the P.O.C website. Pay attention, because I routinely provide documentation highlights about domestic terrorists who pose a threat to the public in order to show you, to inform you what is a pattern of conduct, show you again who is it that is engaging in sexual violence today. You need to remove these barriers in your mind about the racial lines and about neighborhoods and the rich folks over there. They're not doing what the poor folks over there. That's a lie. They are all of the same condition. That fake sun goes over me in every single zip code. And those demons that are driving around in Maseratis, they come out of their houses to keep little old me under surveillance. And they're obsessed with my vagina. That's what you need to know. They want you to think that there's some sort of difference between them and those. Between you and them. That's a lie. The only difference, there are those who are in utter darkness, and they're going to burn in hell if they don't repent. And there are those who know Christ Jesus, who walk with him and who are obedient to the word of God. And those who love him will obey him. Not those who love him, believe in him. If you believe in him, then you believe what his word has said and you live by that. Not just believe it in your mind, accept it, assent to it mentally, but you live it. You're obedient to it. Meaning you're going to church on Sunday, but you're living like the devil Sunday through Saturday, or Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday you're going to church. That's religion. which is not going to save you, okay? Christ Jesus, who knows you, and I just want to be clear, everybody is starting at a beginning level. So as you walk with Christ Jesus, you grow in holiness, and that is impossible to avoid. God is holy, and as you walk with him, it is evident as you grow in holiness, and it's not something that you can fake. And if you're faking it, you're only fooling yourself. He cannot be fooled. Okay, but I just want to state, these are the demons that are engaging, and there's no difference amongst them, contrary to what they would like you to think. That's why I'm going to prosecute the entity that's gang stalking in every city, in every county. There's no exception. At no point will ever the sun be in Kern County, in Bakersfield. But I documented that, and I documented those demons used gang stalking me by helicopter while I'm driving down one street and that fake sun remaining through my driver's side window. And how did I captured it on video so that you would understand and recognize I am not exaggerating and I don't have to make up anything. These demons engage in what are targeting people in ways in which you're not supposed to be able to prove, and you don't have to prove that. The fact that they're mentally ill psychopaths, I've proven it through the pattern of conduct. And you're going to be diagnosed for it. That's not going to be mental illness projected onto innocent American citizens. Okay, it is currently, again, 12:02 a.m. It's now Wednesday, July 30th. I know that I said that before, but there's just a couple of notes that I wanted to go through. Please go ahead and take a look at the sex offenders that are engaged in monitoring my vagina. Okay, now I don't like to refer to my own genitalia, but because the entity is so heavily keeping it under surveillance, and I want you to be mindful of sexual violence. That is something to be shamed. That is something to be exposed. That's why I want you, when you think about and you look at the image of this sex offender that I put in the documentation highlights for July 29, 2025, be mindful of the fact that he's monitoring the vagina between my legs. That's what you need to be mindful of. He's the one that's engaged in gang stalking. He's the one and his whole family of sex offenders. And if they're not natural born citizens, those sex offenders are going to be deported, like every other terrorist in the state of California. All right, and it's my pleasure to expose sex offenders. It is currently 12:03 a.m.